What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another NeverWinter video. In this video I'm going to be talking about the recent developer blogs that were put out regarding mod 16 for NeverWinter. Now, if you're not sure how to stay up to date on most of what Arc puts out, you can simply go to the Arc Games website, go to games, go to NeverWinter, and you can go to news, and you can stay pretty much up to date on what NeverWinter currently has going on right now. They have a 15% off refinement sale, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about mod 16. So let's go ahead into the first blog. There are actually five different developer blogs that are put out. So the first one is just announcing NeverWinter UnderMountain, which is the official name of mod 16. Now it says dive into NeverWinter's biggest expansion this spring, which is going to be NeverWinter UnderMountain. Now, if you haven't already seen it, there's a trailer, and I think on Facebook it already has like over 100,000 views. So I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you probably already seen it, because this is just my thoughts and opinions. So I'm gonna leave you guys to go watch it, and I'll talk to you guys after you finish watching it. Okay, so welcome back. For those of you who paused the video and left to go watch the trailer, so many things we got. Look to be new bosses. Well, not new, but you know, they showed a couple bosses in there and such. They talked about class overhaul and level increase, along with new zones. So let's get right into the blogs, and we are going to start with the level cap increase. Now, the UnderMountain expansion doesn't just bring with it a new set of challenges and a new storyline. It also brings with it a new level cap of 80. Now, I'm going to just stop right here. Now, for me, this means more professions, because now professions are based off your level. So with the new level increase, we should have more professions. Now, some of you might be like, yo, I still don't even know what I want to do with professions now. So how am I gonna, it's gonna take me forever to figure this out. Hey, listen, them adding more things in the game won't hurt. Okay? Because they might add something, and they might make it very clear to you what you need to be doing with your professions. Because right now, there's a lot of professions. Okay, but that's just me. Okay, so already they got me. I'm excited about next mod, because we're probably going to get more professions added on to what we have. Because right now they only go to 70, and obviously master crafting. But with this level increased to 80, we should have more professions added on. So let's get back to what it says. While exploring UnderMountain, players will be adventuring in new zones above level 70. If you survive all the challenges UnderMountain throws at you, you will come out on the other side at level 80 and ready for an all-new dungeon experience. Now, okay, just reading that. So, just reading between the lines. Last mod that we had a level cap increase, when we got done doing what we needed to do, we did not come out on the other side level 70, and we didn't come out level 70 even if it was double experience, right? So already this sounds better than the last time they did it, because it says when we come out the other side at level 80, it says you will come out the other side at level 80. All right, so hopefully that's true, and we're not stuck in that stupid little phase that we were at last time we got a level cap increase, because that was atrocious. That That's what got people not wanting to play their alts. That ruined the game for alts, because that was torture. That was complete torture, and it was horrible. Okay, it says each class has at least one new daily encounter and at will, but that's just the surface of what is in store for our classes. So obviously, with a level cap increase, we're going to get more powers. We're going to get a new daily, new encounter powers, new at wills. They're working on balancing the game. It says keep your eyes open while delving in the layers of UnderMountain, not just the dangers and traps, but for a glimpse of treasure hidden throughout. As players advance to level 80, so does the gear. So as you increase in level, your gear will advance with you. So as people advance to 80, the gear does also. I'm not sure if that means you have to buy new gear or if the gear will actually level with you, kind of like the ensorcelled weapons do, because that's something that's already in the game. Ensorcelled weapons level with you, so maybe they'll have gear that levels with you, like ensorcelled gear. UnderMountain isn't just a level cap increase or a new campaign. It brings a lot of core work and redesign, makes the game more balanced, as well as improved group play and dungeon challenges. Alright, so that is pretty much all on the level cap increase that they have to talk about. So let's move on to the class intro and let's get right into it. So it says, at the core of NeverWinter's gameplay are our classes. This make class balances an important part of how fun our game is to play. NeverWinter has evolved and changed over the years. So many updates. All that change has moved the ability of each class relative to each other up and down to now where some classes have developed clear advantages over others and the others have fallen behind. While we have been working towards balance and smaller changes in each update, we decided there was enough changes needed that the pace was too slow to get balance where we needed it to be, and that it would be best to tackle the majority of the changes in one big push. So here we go. With this update, we are moving away from 4th edition D&D predefined class builds. Classes will now be known by the core names that are very familiar to anyone who has played D&D. So now, class names. The devoted cleric will now be named the cleric. The guardian fighter will just be known as the fighter. The oathbound paladin will just be known as the paladin. The hunter ranger will just be known as ranger. The trickster rogue will now only be a rogue. He will no longer be as tricky as he once was. Hopefully they kill him completely off so he can't turn invisible anymore. I'm just kidding. All the rogues are going to dislike this video. The trickster rogue will now just be known as the rogue. The scourge warlock will just be a warlock. And the control wizard will just be a wizard. Also, the great weapon fighter will be known as the barbarian. Now me as a wizard, I don't really care about these changes at all because we can't control anything anyways. Ever since they changed everything and took all the old dungeons out, we couldn't control bosses. That like completely messes up. We couldn't control anything. We could control stuff in PvP for a little while, but then they nerf control, so really, I don't even really care. They can do what they want. I wasn't a real control wizard anyways. I was just a wizard to begin with, because I couldn't control nothing. Okay, so when looking at the classes in 5th edition, the Guardian Fighter more closely fits with the typical role, and the Great Weapon Fighter was actually much closer to the Barbarian. with its fighting style and rage mechanics. Barbarians will continue to be able to equip all of the types of armor and weapons they currently can, and will still have the powers you've come to know and enjoy. Okay, let's go down further because this is probably going to be a pretty long video, just being real. So it says, while feats are a system which allows flexibility, uniqueness to choose different character builds, how it was implemented and balanced made for a lot of undesirable feats and powers. Oftentimes an entire feat tree wasn't worth taking, which is very, very true because no one uses a lot of certain different trees. If you wanted to do, it wasn't that way for the control wizard, because in PvP you went oppressor. If you were just DPS, you wanted to do DPS, you would go thaumaturge. And if you wanted to buff and do some DPS, you would go renegade. But a lot of other classes, they were very limited to certain feat trees, and that's why they're making these changes. So this was a feature where we examined a lot of options. Ultimately, we decided to make some pretty significant changes. The feats tab on the character sheet is no more, and feat trees no longer exist. Instead, each Paragon path will have 5 pairs of feats, where you get to choose one of 2 feats in each pair to customize your play. With this change, we can offer more unique choices that have a distinct impact in play instead of spawning feat trees. The majority of the feats have no real impact on how you play your character. Okay, so that's a lot. So basically, it's like, so what it sounds like is one class will only have 5 different builds, and everyone is gonna have to choose one of those builds, which kind of sucks because now there'll be no secret. If you let's just say, for example, you know this one guy, he's high item level, he thinks he's tough stuff, putting up all the DPS, and you want to know his build, and you ask him, and he's not willing to share it with you. Well, now you know he ain't got but 5 choices to choose from. So I don't really know how that's going to work out. They sounds like they're kind of making everyone somewhat the same, and if there's any differences, it's going to depend on the stats that you can control, which are basically enchantments on your tune, or the powers that you choose to run at the time, which really aren't hard to figure out, because if you see the animation, you know what power it is. It's not a secret. So it says one of the goals of our class rework was to create a more distinction between the Paragon paths. We started by splitting more of the powers between the 2 paths, including the new powers added to accompany the level cap increase, which is covered in another blog that we'll get to later in this video. So each Paragon path now has 2 at-wills, 2 unique at-wills, and 2 shared at-wills, 5 unique encounters and 5 shared encounters, 2 unique dailies, and 2 shared dailies. And that's most likely to include the one new one that we read about earlier. So unique at-will. Each Paragon path has a unique at-will and shared at-will. So basically, there's Paragon paths, and obviously there's going to be 2 at-wills that are going to be there no matter what. Like if you're a control wizard, for example, you have Chilling Cloud on the Master of Flames and the Master of Flames and the Spellstorm. You have certain dailies that carry over to both, and you have certain dailies that don't carry over to birth or carry over to both. Same with the at wills and encounter powers. They're specific to certain paths, and they'll still have that in the next mod. So as mentioned, each paragon has 5 pair of feats where you can choose each one from each pair to customize your build. Currently, NeverWinter has role-based queuing for content based on the class, with only one exception: Paladin. We like the versatility that Paladin has and wanted to extend that option to more classes, as well as expand which classes could be a tank or healer. So this sounds good off top because I have Paladin and I don't really run the healer, but I do run the tank. And you know right now in the game, if you're a DPS, it's hard to find groups. If you're a support, specifically a cleric, but tanks do too. If you're a cleric or a tank and you queue, the queue's probably going to pop instantly. You don't have to wait long, but if you're a DPS, you could wait like 20 minutes and still not have a queue pop for a dungeon that you're trying to run, and it sucks. So what they try to do is fix that by adding more availability to the roles. So the Paladin is still going to be a tank and a healer. The cleric will be able to queue as DPS or healer. The Guardian fighter, or just the fighter, will just be able to queue as the tank and DPS from now on. The Great Weapon fighter or Barbarian will now be able to queue as tank or DPS, and the Warlock will be able to queue as healer or DPS. Rangers, rogues, wizards all have 2 DPS Paragon paths. Now, alright, so here's one question, right? So what are you gonna do if someone, let's say a cleric, or no, let's use Scourge Warlock as an example, right? So they're a healer. Scourge Warlock is a healer and a DPS, and loadouts are probably gonna still be a thing in the next mod. So tell me what's gonna happen if a Warlock queues in as a healer, so he can get his queues to pop instantly, so he can get into groups. And once he get in, he changes his loadout back to DPS, and now the group is screwed because they don't have a healer. Now that's one question they're gonna have to ask themselves, because really there's just 1, 2, 3 classes that can heal. Obviously the 2 that could heal to begin with, the cleric and the paladin, and they're probably still gonna do that. I don't think anyone's really gonna want to be a warlock and heal. We'll see how that goes. But also, so let's talk about PowerPoints. It says, at this point, you may be wondering how PowerPoints will tie into these changes. PowerPoints will be removed with this update. Ultimately, they hinder play, especially while leveling, and put a blocker on players being able to fully experience their characters at endgame. Without PowerPoints, players will have full access to their powers and feats the moment they unlock them by level, and will have them available at their full potential instead of having to upgrade them before they are worth slotting. Now, off top hearing this, I was kind of mad because, I bought PowerPoints, and now you're telling me everybody's going to get them for free. PowerPoints really weren't all that expensive, so I'm not really mad. But like, really though, this game is shady. So, tanking and healing. We are making significant changes to tanking and healing in NeverWinter. These changes will be covered in a future blog that discusses changes and underlying mechanics. This will include information regarding the removal of lifesteal. Okay, looks like we can go on to the next blog. because they're kind of leaking into the next one, so let's make it short. So now we're on to stats and mechanics and NeverWinter. So the UnderMountain expansion brings a lot of changes with it to fix balance and progression in NeverWinter. This extends to the core math of the game, and we wanted to give some insight into how that math is different than what it was before. So let's get right into it. So on live, the rating formula had hit a point where they were maxed out by in-game players. 100% crit, 100% lifesteal, 100% deflect, etc. This presented a couple options. We could have taken the standard approach and adjusted all of the curves down, which would nerf all players by default, but give us more room for growth. That type of fix has a very finite span and must be done every couple of years to keep the game healthy, and is a nerf every time it happens. That was an approach we wanted to take, as we wanted a longer lasting change with fewer disruptions over the years. So, reading that right there. So, over the years. So they're just off saying that this right here, over the years. So, hopefully NeverWinter is going to be around for the next couple years, because they just released insider info right here. Over the years. That lets you know right there that NeverWinter is probably going to be around for a little while longer. For those of you who say the game is dying. No. It's just you. Only you. The game isn't dying. Okay, so opposing roles. Opposing roles simply means that you have a rating such as critical strike, and an opponent has an opposing rating such as critical avoidance. These two ratings are compared to configure how effective you are against that opponent. In other words, harder opponents are more skilled, and therefore you are less effective against them than you would be against weaker opponents who had lower ratings. This approach allows the game to continue to grow without the need for adjusting curves down every time players max them out. NeverWinter also already has one set of opposing roles, defense and armor pen. Here's how opposing roles work in NeverWinter. Every 500 points you are above your opponent's opposing rating gains you 1% to a stat. What? I'm just kidding. But yeah, here's the math for you. So 10,000, if you subtract that by 7,000. So let's say you have 10,000. They're saying crit strike. Let's say armor pen. So you have 10,000 armor pen and the enemy has 7,000 defense. And you divide that 3,000 by 500. And you will have a 6% resistance ignore. Which we'll see how that works out. Because as of right now, if you have 10,000 defense, you only got 6% crit chance off this. That's going to be crazy. So you won't crit at all. If you go up against a boss with good critical avoidance, you won't do anything. You'll just be hitting. You'll be hitting air. So with these changes to an opposing role system, new stats needed to be added to act as the opposing ratings. While making these additions, we also removed a few stats to improve the balance of the game. So the remaining ratings in the game, or the main ratings that are now in the game: hit points, power, critical strike, critical avoidance, combat advantage bonus, awareness, deflect, accuracy, armor pen, and defense. Now let's just go over these real quick. So, alright, hit points, power, critical strike. They just told us what critical avoidance was. Combat advantage bonus. Okay, so we need to find out what awareness is. We know deflect. What is accuracy? Because if you take an elixir of accuracy in the game, it gives you crit strike, but they have crit strike up here. So we don't know what accuracy is at the moment. Armor pen and defense, those are pretty simple. So right now, accuracy and awareness are where our biggest question marks are. So utility stats, these stats don't have ratings and instead receive boost to their direct percentages. So it looks like these are going to get a boost. I'm not really sure. So action point gain, recharge speed, stamina gain, critical severity, control bonus, control resistance, movement, gold gain, HP gain, glory gain, companion influence, incoming healing bonus. So critical crit chance is getting a nerf, but looks like these stats are getting buffed. And that's what it sounds like. So the stats that they removed from the game: armor class, AoE resist, dot resist, regen. Players now have a set value out of combat regen speed. And also recovery will be removed from the game. So silveries right now, if you have silveries, I would sell them. That's just me, because no one's going to really be wanting to flex. I mean, that's just you. I mean, if you're PvP, you probably still want to sell them. But it says removal of lifesteal and recovery ratings are the two most significant. Lifesteal was problematic in that it invalidated most sources of healing and created a situation where players' health bar was typically one of two states: full or dead. For this reason, lifesteal was removed as a rating, and there are only a couple of specific sources of lifesteal in the game going forward. Recovery was problematic in the fact that encounter powers and daily powers had become used as frequently as at-will powers could be. That left us with two options when fixing the balance: drastically reduce the damage of daily and encounter powers, or make it so that daily powers would be used less frequently, but be much more meaningful. We went with the latter of the two options, and that meant recovery needed to be removed. As with lifesteal above, there are fewer and more specific sources of AP gain and recharge speed going forward. So let's continue before we wrap up this page. So additional notes: enemies will have the same values for all their ratings, and all of the enemies in a given zone dungeon will have the same rating value. To use the first area of UnderMountain as an example, all of the enemies have 6,000 of their ratings. This number could change before lives as we know it to adjust numbers from feedback and testing. Critical strike gets a bonus 5% chance by default. My example above shows how any given set of opposing ratings work, but since critical chance gets a 5% bonus, the players will actually have an 11% crit chance instead of a 6% crit chance. Is now capped at 50%. Deflect also caps at 50%. Alright, so crit chance and deflect now caps at 50%. Combat advantage bonus gets a 10% boost to the default and now caps at 100%. So just reading this right here with the removal of lifesteal, I want to recap on it. So looks like they changed it, because right now I was kind of disgusted with the game, how it was, because people were either dead or not dead. Obviously they either had full health or no health in dungeons. So hopefully with this change, they made it to where that wasn't an issue anymore, because enemies hit way too hard. They don't even give you a chance to lifesteal your health, because you're either dead or you're not. Like you're either at full health or you're dead. Like there's no in between, like it used to be in the old days, and they need to get back to that. So let's get into the last developer blog, item level and scaling. Item level is used throughout NeverWinter to gauge the potential of a given player, and is used to get access to different content in order to make sure players are strong enough to survive. However, on live, item level was not consistent between sources and has not performed well as a measure of player potential due to item level being different depending on the source it is coming from. UnderMountain was our chance to make item level far more consistent and therefore make it more accurate to gauge player potential. So let's get into the standard item level. On live, our chest piece and undershirt will be the same item level but give very different amounts of ratings. Insignias will double the number of stats they give each rank, but yet their item level doesn't double. So insignias are going to get a buff to stats, but not item level. These are the things we wanted to address to make item level more representative. With the UnderMountain expansion, one item level equals 20 rating points. So for every one item level, you're going to get 20 to one stat. So let's say if you have let's just say for example, you have a rank 7 and that rank 7 is worth 200 power. Let's say you have a rank 7 radiant and it's worth 200 power. So if you divide that 200 by 20, you will have 10 item level for that 2000 power that you're getting from that radiant. So keep it going. While these changes does address the majority of sources of item level, these are still outliers such as companions, mount powers, bonding runestones. We believe those to now be a better representation as well, but we'll also adjust their values as needed to find the perfect representation of them. Yeah, so bonding runestones definitely should be worth more item level rating if you don't have those, because your companion is a big part of your damage. With the way the game is now, it says these changes will adjust some stats players already have, but it should be an overall gain. Armor chest piece will now give slightly fewer stats, but most of the other equipment slotted will be raised and give more stats than it did in the past. The overall goal of these changes was to make sure that if two players are 12,000 item level, they are close in terms of the overall potential, which is good because right now you got some players that are like, you can have two 13K players and one will be trash and the other one will be like, he'll play like he's in game. And that was kind of a skill thing, like, because good players know what's best to put in their character, and hopefully with these changes you'll be able to get a better representation of how good a player is by its item level now, and hopefully they'll do the same amount of damage based on the item level. Now this could be bad, because in the end, people aren't going to give you a chance now. If they see your low item level, they're not going to give you a chance because they're going to know you're trash. But hopefully it works out. So now scaling players down has traditionally not truly changed a player's ability compared to the content they were scaled to. Along with our fixes to item level, we added the item level scaling, which should provide a better version of scaling going forward. Now we will scale a player down to a target item level. This won't be exact, as it will scale different items to different values. Enchantments will have a different scaling item level than equipment due to their different magnitudes, and because of this, a player can end up a bit above or a bit below the target value. But overall, it should bring the players closer to each other and closer to the concept. This does mean that players who are put in a low difficult dungeon will find more challenging than the past, but that challenge will still be less than an in-game dungeon would be. So they're going to add scaling to dungeons. Okay, so, or maybe these might just be leveling dungeons. This system was designed so that it will be easy to tune and make sure that we can end up with ideal scaling moving forward. We look forward to the players getting to experience this new scaling along with the new items, the new item level accuracy. We look forward to your feedback as this gets to preview, and I don't know why I'm talking slow. Okay, so that covers all the blogs. For real, the only things I'm really excited about, obviously, is professions. Hopefully, we'll get an increase to professions. Gameplay. Hopefully, we're not still getting one shot, and healing classes will actually have a chance to heal. Because ever since they changed that and we start getting one shot in Cragmire Crypts by archers, the game hasn't been the same since then. Everything is one shot on us, everything has killed us, and it's not good for the game with it being that way. Also, if you watch the trailer, so we're supposed to get 5 new adventure zones with this new mod, a new campaign, and obviously all these reworks. And yeah, so I'm just excited for basically the whole thing. Nothing really upsets me. It's for the better of the game. So I'm not really mad at any of it. So those are my thoughts and opinions. If you have any thoughts and opinions, feel free to post them in the comment section. I appreciate you for checking out my video. I know this one was very long, and I'm not exactly a fast reader, but it is what it is. So let me know how you guys feel, and if I missed anything, let me know. Post it in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.